championship match. And Tim Criss up first, 31-year-old from Bel Air, Maryland. His wife, Sherry, in attendance. Marshall, they travel tournament to tournament in their lovely motor home.
And what a nice way to start.
And that is $1,000 to the PBA Tour Foundation, courtesy of Budweiser, after the strike from Tim Criss. And Brian Voss now up in lane one. Brian, hot on this pair, Marshall. Do you think that's a disadvantage for Tim Criss or not?
Well, it generally should be, but Criss got that good break in the first frame. That could loosen him up. But Brian Voss, he should have things going his way, but maybe the commercial break took a little air out of his sails as he comes in high.
And leaves the 3-6-10. And you have often mentioned about that's the hardest shot in a match, the shot after a commercial break.
Well, when you've been sitting for a while, you do lose your rhythm a little bit. Right now, Brian Voss must forget about it and just make this spare the 3-6-10. Fortunately, the 9-pin's not there, so you don't have to worry about a sleeper, Brian.
Follow all your favorite sports and get updated scores and stats on the net. CBS Sportsline has exclusive columns and video highlights, plus interviews, chats, and more. Go to cbs.sportsline.com.
You know, as you take a look at the records of these two great players, Brian Voss with 18 titles and Tim Criss with 2. That's another nod in Brian's favor.
Another strike for Brian Voss as well. Strikes in frame number 2, and Tim Criss working on a strike in the first will be up in the second frame. By the way, our TV pair today, lanes 35 and 36, and right now Tim Criss up on lane 36. And there you see how Tim did.
They made that big charge last night, Jerry, to get the lead in with a big charge to this ball right there to take a 10-pin lead in this match. So maybe we can throw away the advantage for Brian. Take a look at Tim Criss. He throws the ball slow. He throws a lot of turn, hooks the ball into the pocket. That's the comfortable delivery and release for Tim Criss.
So Tim Criss starting out with a couple of strikes, looking for a 3-bagger now as he moves over to lane 35. A die-hard Oriole fan. And a solid strike from Tim Criss. So he has opened things up with a 3-bagger.
Great shot from Tim on the left-hand lane. We'll take a look once again. Watch the ball. It sails to the right and then hooks hard in the back end. And a happy Tim Criss with 3 in a row. Feeling better about his bowling than he is about his Orioles. Gotta hurry.
And Brian Voss answers as well, and you can see how elated and animated he was over that strike.
Well, you always have a better reaction on a shot that's fortunate. Right now, Brian's ball is a little bit light, but ooh, it just carried.
And Brian Voss now on lane 35 of the 4th frame. There you see our scoreboard. So right now, Voss down by 10 as Tim Criss has been perfect through 3.
To even up the match. Stop it. And just at the last minute, it looked like it was creeping high, but it's set up in the pocket. Stopped hooking and was able to knock them all down.
And Marshall, it appears that both bowlers now, Brian Voss, we know, was hot on this pair earlier, and Tim Criss has not been affected by waiting for the winner of the shootout round.
Well, you'd think he'd be a little bit intimidated by that gentleman right there, but not as yet.
Oh, sensation.
4 strikes in a row for Tim Criss, and just not paying any attention to the opposition, just taking care of his own business as Brian sits and waits for his opportunity to get back up and throw some more strikes.
If either bowler strikes here in the 5th frame, $1,000 will be donated to the PBA Tour Foundation, courtesy of Budweiser. And that's where we are, frame number 5. Tim Criss working on 4, Brian Voss working on 3 consecutive strikes. $5 in a row and $1,000 more for the PBA Tour Foundation, courtesy of Budweiser. Tim Criss, unaffected right now, apparently, by the pressure. He's been on the PBA Tour 14 years, only has 2 national titles, but is bowling as well as you can bowl right now. And once again, I'll tell you what, PBA Tour Foundation picks up another $1,000 courtesy of Budweiser after that strike from Brian Voss.
Brian Voss keeping the pressure on with that strike. He cut the deficit from 20 down to 10 with a strike here in the 6th frame to make it an even ball game. And all Tim Criss can do is just sit there and feel good about that 5 in a row. I would.
Well, 10 pins down for Brian Voss, and if he's going to make it even, and if we should wind up even after 10 frames, Marshall, as we said earlier, sudden death, single ball roll-off will determine the winner of this tournament. Oh, my.
Oh, what a tough blow for Brian Voss as he leaves the 3, 4, 6, and the 7. Right now, his ball's going right through the heart, and he does not get the good break. You see the 3-6 on the right-hand side, the 4-7 on the left, and what did I just do? A split that can be made. Get the ball to the right-hand side of the 3, slide it over, but it's in the channel.
Well, nothing for Brian Voss, and that may indeed leave the door open for Tim Criss, the top seed in the Johnny Petraglia Open. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the Brunswick Johnny Petraglia Open. There you see our score of the championship match. Tim Criss perfect through 5. And talking about perfect, 2 weeks ago in Reno, Parker Bowe in the 3rd bowled the 300 game. It was not in the championship game. It was in the shootout round. And Tim Criss through 5 today is perfect in the championship game. I'll tell you what, Marshall, 300 could be on the horizon for him.
Right now, business. Get the shot in the 6th frame off your hand. Throw a strike, 10 more pin lead. That's exactly what he did.
Well, if Tim Criss rolls a 300 game in the championship match, he will receive a $1 million bonus courtesy of the Showboat Hotel, Casino, and Bowling Center in Las Vegas.
And all he has to do is throw 6 more shots that look something like that.
Piece of cake, right?
Yes, maybe for him. Brian Voss right now trying to win for the 12th year in a row. And Brian Voss just received a gift from Tim Criss as Tim leaves a difficult split. Ball coming in light. 6 pin goes around the 10. Head pin goes around the 2, 4, 8. Now this can be made, but it is extraordinarily difficult. As you can see, Tim sees the fact that the ball's not coming up. Goodbye $1 million and hello match. He's going for it.
Well, there you see a look at the score. And an open for Tim Criss.
And it's down to a 24-pin lead. And Brian Voss, great shot.
And a solid 10.
Solid 10. We've seen a few of those today.
Marshall, why was this a great shot? The solid 10 is there. What made this a great shot?
Well, he got it off his hand the way he wanted to. Watch the ball charge back solid in the pocket. Anytime you can hit solid in the pocket, that's all you can do as a bowler is make the shot. Sometimes the pins do not respond. But certainly a good recovery from the previous frame when Brian left that very large split.
And there you can see Tim Criss up by 24. And if it were not for that open by Tim, this might have been almost out of reach, Marshall.
Well, he certainly put Brian back into the game. And boy, you know, he's got to be kicking himself right now. He still has a 24-pin lead. But Brian Voss is very much in the match. Needs to make the adjustment. Remember, this is the lane he left the big split on, Gary. Well, watch the projection as he gets the ball farther out onto the lane, delays the roll, comes back into the pocket, takes care of business that shot. That's what I wanted.
Here's Tim Criss, 8th frame.
And so often often happens in professional bowling. You come in light on one lane and you come in high on the next. He makes the adjustment on the opposite lane, as we can see his ball going right through the heart, leaving just the 3 and the 6 pins.
Gets the 10 a kick out, but still with 3 and 6 up for the spare conversion for Tim Criss in the 8th. So we'll move to the 9th now. Tim Criss up by 24. Tim Criss, though, working on a spare, and Brian Voss working on a strike.
And if Tim Criss were to go strike, spare, strike, in the next couple of frames, he would shoot 232. Right now, Brian Voss, if he strikes the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, he can shoot 238. So this game is still up for grabs. Tim Criss up by 24 pins in the 9th frame. And there's that same great shot that Brian Voss threw a couple frames ago, leaving the solid 10. Once again, the same for Tim Criss. Take a look at the 6 pin right around the bottom. I tell you, bowling can be very, very cruel. Got up there and made a professional shot. You see the reaction. Oh my gosh, I thought I had it. Take care of the 10 pin.
Brian Voss now up, lane 36 for his shot in the 9th, working on a strike.
He's still in this match. He must have that, had to have that strike. Knocks that lead down to 14 pins. And right now, if he were to get up and throw 2 strikes to the 10th, he would force Tim Criss to double to win this tournament. Take a look at Brian Voss. The form is there. Trust your game, Brian. Great shot from Brian Voss. And the importance of that reaction, too.
And Brian Voss bowling like a man that has been on the tour for many years with a lot of experience and a lot of tournament wins. All that true. Here's another guy, Tim Criss, that's been on the tour for a long time, but only 2 PBA titles, not bowling like that today.
There's a shot that just barely held on, Gary. That ball looked a little high. Right now, Brian is very, very pleased with that reaction. What a shot. And we'll take a look. Watch as the ball leaves his hand, goes out around 11, goes to 3. Watch it hook a little bit high in the pocket. But fortunately, all the pins are down. That strike right there forced Tim Criss to mark in the 10th frame. This strike forces Tim Criss to double.
And it wasn't long ago that the lead was 24. Now it is down to 3 for Tim Criss.
And in the 6th frame, it was 42. So it's all gone away. It's just a 3-pin lead for Tim Criss. Brian Voss looking for another one. That's it. He's going back over the top of the springs. What a great shot and an opportune moment for Brian Voss. So necessary for him to get back into this match. Puts all the pressure squarely on Tim Criss's shoulders with this strike. That's the one he wanted desperately. Now let's go celebrate it.
And Brian Voss is looking to extend the number of years. He has won at least 1 tournament. He's got 11 consecutive years. If he makes it 12, he'll tie the great Don Johnson for 2nd place.
Now it's work like that that'll put a man over the Hall of Fame. Brian Voss is in. Tim Criss needs 2 strikes and 8 pins to win this tournament. You see Brian Voss, watch those eyes. Scatter pins. Must have the first strike of the 10th for any chance. Look at that clutch shot, Gary.
And he answers. Tim Criss not out of this yet.
Tim Criss on lane 36. Watch the ball go over about the 17 board, out to about 6. Back solid in the pocket. One more is what he's thinking right now. Just one more strike. I think he can get that 8-pin count to win. But here's the shot. Certainly the shot of the year for Tim Criss.
He's got to have it.
And he shot. Brian Voss will be your champion. And to be sitting on the bench and getting a break like that is very, very fortunate.
The 19th career PBA title for Brian Voss.